Hello, and thank you for taking the time to meet with us, and thank you for allowing our team to conduct the security assessment for your company. Now, in order to identify your security needs as a company, our team has performed an analysis that focuses on the overall information security of the public systems and technology. And to do that, we're going to look at a few key areas and costs. And first up, we'll take a look at some company insight. To do that, we're going to look at 2016's Fortune magazine's 500 list. Publix had ranked number 87 with a $197 billion profit that year. It also continues to be the largest employee-owned company. With over 1,106 stores in the United States, Publix gains its customers from the regional Southeast, and most of the shoppers are senior-aged. And the average amount spent on a single transaction is $39.46. Now, so this information is going to be key when looking at specific data and how these sources can be the cause of a specific types of targeting. But for now, we're going to look at Publix's critical asset inventory and assess the specific security precautions within each asset. Now, the critical assets Publix uses to continue its business practices are 1. Data, which is both personal and user, networks, and equipment, which are physical materials. Now, Publix offers several shopping capabilities that utilize online networks, which can be vulnerable to outside attacks. An important note is that payment for these orders are not conducted online and must be paid for in store. Thus, the focus of this study is on the protection of user information and data, even if payment is not an option with Publix.com or the mobile application itself. So with ordering online, it's requirement to put in your first and last name as a guest, your phone number, email address, pickup time, and date. And when you're registering, you're providing that email address, password, zip code, and physical address as well. So there are pieces of essential information that are brought into the system through Publix.com and the mobile application. As you know, you've partnered with Instacart. Now, Instacart services do require a credit card payment and payment information, unlike Publix.com. This data is shared between Publix and Instacart databases, so it's a little bit more sensitive, but it is a good thing to note here in this case that there is the credit card and payment information and that Publix and Instacart databases are being shared together. So we all know that efficiency is the name of the game when it comes to networks, websites, and sales, as it's becoming the backbone for most retail and grocery companies nowadays as these companies and industries evolve. Publix has implemented a distant vector protocol by using a RIP2. And this takes a hop, which is going from one router to another, and gives it a specific number. Depending on the distance, it assigns a number such as 1 or 10. And when asked, your company disclosed that you prefer to use Cisco routers when it comes to LAN or WAN. So when inventorying critical assets such as equipment, credit card processing terminals and point-of-sale systems come to mind, as they are a staple of Publix stores. POS terminals directly consume magnetic stripe information from customers directly and physically. So the black magnetic stripe on the back of the card, it holds the vital information such as the PAN, which is the primary account number, that is embossed physically on the card, and the expiration date, as well as the card verification value code, which is the CVV or CID as it's better known, and that's usually on the back of the card, right? So an example to learn from in this case is the Target data breach in 2013 during the holiday season, when hackers had gained access to Target's customer database along with Home Depot and Staples. When a customer swiped their credit card, their information was stored into memory for a brief moment before encryption. And now I will discuss the threat model that assesses the availability, integrity, and confidentiality of the assets that we just talked about. These areas of the threat model have a high relevance to your company in terms of the role they play within the specific critical assets that we've mentioned. So sustained equipment availability, there are a few areas that we want to review where a strategy could be placed to strengthen the security of the system. So basically, maintain all of your hardware by performing repairs immediately and ensure that equipment is updated with new technologies. Next, give various options to customers to receive payment in case of hardware failure and to avoid swiping. Also, we want to maintain availability for Publix networks, components such as having A. Valid load balancer, and redundancy and failover servers which should be placed in a secure location that is not susceptible to the same vulnerabilities as the main network. Public uses open shortest path first for their IGP, or Interior Gateway Protocol. That's what's called the Dynamic Routing Protocol. This tells the router where to send packets to, and it's done automatically and initially set up by Publix Network Administrator. Now, the reason why this is so important is that it can be the reason a network is congested or a network and its web page runs efficiently. Now, if this is set up incorrectly or the wrong protocol is used, it could have the website traffic, and it could take the wrong path, and overall transactions may take longer in this case, right? So when it comes to integrity, there are precautions taking place to make sure the data will not be altered. And some security controls that are a must for the network is decreasing the amount of people having access. Following the best practice lessens the risk of altered data, but also increases the time to fix or compromise if there is one. Networking is also one of the most important things when keeping confidentiality in mind, and this is because an intruder could have access to critical data of an organization remotely. While security here is a main concern, we provide some solutions that increase the security level of the organization's data up to some extent. To be able to control what the users are doing on the network, strong control over them is needed. An attacker may try to input user names and passwords to get into the system, so we need to add more security checkpoints to the system itself. Now, the recommendation here is to have a conversation with your vendors to ensure that they are using strong authentication to access the point-of-sale environment. Also, traffic control and intrusion prevention systems should play their role with monitoring of the incoming traffic to the organization and allow traffic if it meets the security flags of the organization itself. Finally, we want to prevent attacks, and many attackers may intend to crash the server so that the organization loses potential customers in the process. So to avoid such issues, organizations should take steps in order to block traffic that can cause, for instance, denial of service or DOS attacks. So in terms of equipment, organizations should probably take precautions to minimize the number of places where the customer's information appears, and also follow PCI security standards. And in this case, this is our recommendation to Publix. In terms of state-of-the-art security controls, we want to recommend that now is the time to invest in a reader that processes both payment structures such as near-field communication, or NFC. Mobile wallets today are dependent upon the merchant accepting these as their checkout. With the rollout of EMV and NFC, it's showing up more and more at all competitor supermarkets. So when implementing this correctly, someone will not have to choose between using, say, an NFC with their phone and the new EMV card while tapping, with a tapping capability, as to sliding their EMV card chip through the terminal. So when paying at the grocery store via NFC, there's a security code that is assigned to the processed payment. So neither a customer's phone nor the merchant receives the card number in this case. So finally, we want to focus on the return of investment and costs. So the Wall Street Journal states that NFC terminals can range from $300 to $500 alone. And there's also employee training that would have to be involved, and this can vary on the type of pay per hour that the employee receives and their position. We include software for the new terminal as well, and this comes out to about $1,000 to $2,000 per terminal, as generated and stated by BluePay.com in these calculations. So these costs look minuscule compared to the amount large merchants are expecting to pay in credit card swipe fees, and these fees alone would potentially cost billions of dollars a year. The amount spent for implementing NFC would be made up for this cost with reduced fees when customers use their mobile wallet. So in conclusion, we'd like to say thank you for your time and allow our team to conduct this analysis for your security needs.